Hey Wiglets, welcome to another episode of Wiggin' Out with Bobby Z, hosted by me, Bobby Z. Today I'm going to show you guys how to wash and condition different types of wigs. Human hair, synthetic, hard front, lace front, etc. So I hope you guys stay tuned and keep watching. So there are different ways to wash different types of wigs. Most of the time people say to only wash your wigs in cold water or lukewarm water. I kind of agree, I kind of disagree with that. It kind of depends on what I'm doing. If I'm using human hair, I usually do it in warm water, like not lukewarm, not hot, kind of in the middle. And if I'm doing synthetic hair, it depends on what I actually need it to do. If I'm washing the wig so that I can wash it and then I'm going to steam it out and I'm going to re-curl it and everything, I'll just wash it in hot water. Like as hot as you can possibly get it, because that'll help break down the curl pattern in the wig to start with, and then you won't have as much to brush through and to pull out when you're steaming. But if you want the synthetic hair to stay in its shape, such as a bob, or if you have a really cute curly wig or something that you roller set and you want it to keep the shape that you gave it, always wash it in really cold water. That way the shape won't change. So what you're going to need is you're going to need the wig of your choice that you're going to wash. I have about 6 right here that I'm going to show you guys different kinds of ways of washing. So make sure you get all the bobby pins out first off. Shampoo. Now, I use the Tresemme Deep Cleanse for my wigs. That's just because I like to use a lot of hairspray, especially in my drag wigs or anything that's going to be big and teased. I like to use a ton of hairspray. So if you use a deep clean shampoo, it helps. However, if your wig is human hair, if you don't use a lot of product in it, or if it's color treated, such as you bought a human hair wig and you tinted it or you dyed it, don't use deep clean shampoo because you'll strip that color out. Use Color Safe or even use that When or Hair One or something like that. That's a cleansing conditioner. That works best on human hair because you're not stripping all that color out, but you're still getting residue and buildup out. You're also going to need Cool Whip. I'm kidding. This is baking soda. And I just put it in a Cool Whip container because it's easier for me than having a little box. Also gonna need a wash basin or something like that. I have 2 big guys like this. These are just dish basins that you can get at the hardware store. You can get them at any drugstore, stuff like that, Walmart, Kmart, etc. If you're only doing one wig or something really small, you can also use a clear bin like this. This is my dirty makeup brushes from me being in drag yesterday, hence why I have no facial hair, chest hair, or armpit hair. You're probably wondering why, if you have an empty sink or a bathtub or whatever, why I wash in a tub. And that's just because you don't really know what's on your sink unless you're going to comment your whole sink and rinse it really well and let it dry. You don't know what is really, you don't want food particles in your wig, you don't want bleach in your wigs, anything like that. So I just use the tubs and it makes it a lot easier. However, if it's something that's really thick, like I recently washed and reset a wig for a client, which is actually this big guy right here. That wig is 3 or 4 wigs cut apart and sewn together onto one big wig. It's the thickness of 4 wigs in the space of 1 wig. So it's really hard to wash something that big in a basin. So if you do follow me on Instagram, you saw that I did wash that one actually in my sink. And that was just because it was so big. You also need caffeination of your choice. I choose iced coffee. Caffeination is optional. So the first step when you're washing a wig is kind of self-explanatory, but I know some people that skip this step, and this can really affect the way your wig comes out. You want to brush it. Now, you want to get sure if your wig is teased up really big, you want to brush it completely out. You want to get all that teasing out, because if you get that wet, especially on human hair, if you get teased human hair wet, it'll lock into place and those cuticle layers will fuse together, and it is going to be a bitch and a half to brush out. Now, we all know with human hair, sometimes there's human hair wigs that always tangle. Regardless of how you wash them, regardless of how often you wash them, regardless of what you wash them with or in, they will always tangle. Now, that is just cheap human hair. That's what human hair does. This is a little tip trick that I realized when I was doing a production of Chicago with a platinum blonde 613 white blonde human hair wig that would always tangle when I washed it. So I figured it out. If I brush the whole thing out on the block and then I spray the wig down with water until it's soaking wet with water, brush it through, and then I wash it, it's less prone to tangle. I'm assuming that's just because you're getting it wet, you're getting it straight, and you're getting all of that curl and that product distributed out before you add the shampoo. So something about that makes it not tangle. So if your wig is prone to tangling, spray it down first, brush it really good, then wash it. Also, if your wig is really, 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 really long, much like this one, you guys remember this from my video on how to stretch out a wig. If your wig's very, very long, human hair or synthetic, it doesn't matter. They'll both tangle up ridiculously. So what I like to do is I like to get it wet, again, spray it down. You don't have to get it soaking wet, just get it damp. And then I like to do a couple ponytails. Call it a Princess Jasmine. Sounds like a dirty sexual position, but I'll explain. You know how Princess Jasmine had that ponytail and then she had ponytails down to the end? That's the same thing you want to do with your wig. You want to do a ponytail here, and then down maybe 5 inches, down a couple inches, and then down on the bottom. That's just going to keep all of that hair nice and long and straight, and it's not going to be able to mat up into itself like this. As you can see, I moved into my kitchen area, and as you can see, I have mermaids on the wall. This one's actually a bottle opener, pretty badass. If your synthetic wig has a lot of makeup stuck in it, or if you get that nasty like underlaying foundation on your bangs or on the back of your neck or whatever, soak your synthetic wigs in OxiClean and laundry detergent. Do that 2 or 3 times, and you can even soak them overnight. OxiClean will not damage the fiber. If anything, it makes it softer, and it will get that makeup out. Okay, so now you can see I'm aimed towards my sink. So this is what you're going to do. You want to take your sink, and you want to put your basin in your sink. First step, what you want to do is you want to start to fill up your basin. Now, before it gets too full, there's only about 1 inch or so of water in here. You want to add your baking soda. Now, as you can see, I like to add a lot. These wigs have a lot of gel in them, so the more baking soda you add, the better it's going to work. You also want to add a little squirt of shampoo. 1, 2, 3. Turn your water back on, and then you want to emulsify it with your hand just to make sure you get all of that. So first up for the baths is my cute little Millie Bob, which is this. So you just want to put it under the water, and you want to get it nice and wet. And this is a wig that I don't want it to change its shape. So I'm washing this in freezing cold water. My hands are already shivering. And you just kind of want to dunk it in the water. And you always want to rinse the inside as well, just to make sure if there's any makeup in the front or anything like that, you can rinse it out. Just let it soak a little bit. So actually, I don't have enough room in my sink for both of my basins. So I'm going to put all of my synthetics in one basin, and then I'm going to put all my human hair in another basin. You never really want to wash, like, a whole bunch of wigs in a basin because the water won't be able to distribute around with them when you swirl them around. So only do 3 or 4, depending on how long they are. If they're really long, just 1 usually will fit in a basin, and that's fine. When you wash synthetic hair, you can soak it for hours and hours. It's not going to change the color. It's not going to change the set. It's not going to do any of that unless you wash it in hot. However, with human hair, if you let it soak too long, it can mat. If you let it soak too long, you can strip the color out. You can make the knots come out, all of that. So you have to be a little more careful with human hair, so I'm going to show you guys that now. So you can see I have my basin of synthetic hair soaking here. Now I'm going to do the same thing as before. Put some baking soda in there because there is some gel in these girls and a lot of hairspray. And 1, 2, those were big squirts, so I only did 2. And then this I'll do with warm water. Cardinal 1 rule of lace wigs, whether it's a lace front, a full lace, a lace top, a frontal, anything like that, you never want to have the water go against the knots. So the knots are all tied going this way. You don't want the water pushing down on them, because that'll push the hair through, and then you'll get hairs underneath. You'll get that return underneath, or the hair will fall out. So what you want to do is you want to take your wig and you want to turn it inside out. So whenever you're rinsing or anything like that with a lace wig, you always want the water to flow through from the back side of the lace. That will keep the hairs from pushing through to the opposite side, and it'll keep your knots from falling out. Getting her wool nice and wet. And since this is just a lace front and it's not a full lace wig, I usually will let these girls soak for a little bit, not too long. The longer you soak it, the easier it is for the hair to tangle and the easier it is for your knots to come undone. So usually when I soak them, I try to soak them and I try to leave the lace front out of the water like that. So again, same thing, human hair, normal wig with a lace front. So you always want the water flowing through the wig from the underside. As you can see, I like to kind of dunk my human hair wigs, kind of like that, just to kind of get them to swirl a little bit. You want to agitate them like a washing machine would almost. Like you kind of want to get in there and you want to swirl them around a little bit. And that's just so you can break up that buildup. You can get some shampoo through there and all of that. As you can see, this water isn't really filmy anymore, and this is. That's because I was rinsing over it, and as you know, shampoo only works for a little bit of time. The dirtier the hair is, the more shampoo you have to use. Shampoo can only do so much at once. So if the wigs are really dirty or the wigs are really, really crispy, you're going to have to wash them at least twice. This is when it comes in handy to have an extra bin. So I'm going to rinse these and I'm going to wash them again. So you just want to take them and you want to put them in your second bin. But I like it to do it in a bin because then I can move it out of the way and I'm not getting my entire apartment soaking wet. And you just want to dump the water out. And you just want to rinse off your bin. And then just repeat the same steps as before. 1, 2, 3. Add some baking soda. Swirl. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump this water out, just holding the wigs in my hand. As you can see, I'm washing them from the inside out only with a lace front. That's just so the hair doesn't pull through or you won't tangle up as much. And as you can see, I'm rinsing mainly from the top of the hair because it flows down through the hair. So rinsing the top of the hair, and then as you're getting that clean, you can kind of rinse out a little more water. I'm going to show you guys how I condition human hair wigs after I wash them. I'm using Damage Remedy by Aveda conditioner. I bought this when I was in school and I still have it, so I use it up as I can, and it's lasted me years. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 pumps of conditioner, nothing too crazy, much like that. And what I like to do is I like to hold my wig by like the crown of it so that it's and then I like to emulsify the conditioner in my hands, and then I just like to go in and focus on the ends of the hair with my conditioner. And then I gradually will hold it by the front edge, and then I can kind of massage that conditioner into the hair. Okay, that's it. Boom. Emulsify it in your hand, turn the wig sideways, start on those ends. Since I'm going to rinse these guys out, I'm gonna move these guys out of my sink just so that they're not in the way. Then, again, you're gonna take your synthetic wigs, the back and the rim. And this water is much cleaner than it was the first time. And also my bins kind of fit together, so I can kind of nest them like that. So I usually like to kind of rinse them over each other, just like this. There we go. I was trying to get this out so that I could rest my bin in there. So now again, and since these are synthetic, and I don't want to change the curl pattern, I'm using cold water. But if you want to change the curl pattern, if you're going to steam it out, or if you want to set it, then by all means use hot water. You might burn your hands a little bit, but it will definitely make the makeover process of your wig much easier. So once you rinse them out, and you make sure you got all that shampoo out, usually I'll do like a squeeze test. And if I squeeze the wig and the water that comes out is bubbly, then I know that there is still a little shampoo left, and I'll rinse them again. Now, they make special shampoos and conditioners for synthetic wigs. I don't use them because I kind of think it's a waste of money because it does the same thing that regular shampoo and everything does. But that's me. If you want to buy them, that's fine. I never really condition synthetic hair anymore unless I'm gonna be doing something curly or something like that, and then I will leave the conditioner in, and then it almost acts like a mousse or a light gel, and it kind of will hold the curls in place. Just wash them and towel dry them, and then I will spray them with oil sheen, and then I'll let them dry that way. So I kind of use an oil sheen as a conditioner, but I really don't use the conditioner on synthetic hair at all. Now I'm back to my human hair girls. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse them, but I'm not going to drain the water. I'm going to basically make a conditioner bath, and I'm going to swirl them in there for a couple minutes, and then I'll rinse them completely. Basically what the conditioner bath does is it just kind of ensures that all of the hair got evenly conditioned. Since these are human, I'm using warm water. And just make sure you focus on rinsing where that conditioner was, on the ends and all of that. So once you have them rinsed and you have your conditioner bath, you kind of just want to dunk them in and out. Try to just bring all of that conditioner water through all the hair. So dunk and lift, dunk and lift. I have an empty bin on the floor, so I'm just going to toss these into that bin once they're rinsed. I will rinse a little bit on the inside, much like this, just to make sure I don't have like a big glob of conditioner on the back of the hair. But I'm just making sure that with the lace front, I always have the water flowing through it. Step number one, when you're drying a wig or when you're about to comb out something that's soaking wet, I'm going to put a towel down on the floor, and that is just so that you don't get a puddle or ruin your floor. Ta! I have such a big head, like a little lollipop Bethany Frankel head. Now that your wigs are clean and they're wrung out a little bit, you want to take a towel. For my human hair, I usually will do them individually in a small salon towel like this. Make sure that it is hanging down from the front. And you just kind of want to blot it dry like that. So then what I'll do is, it's kind of hard to do standing up, so I'll have to do it like this. You take your wig and you want to put it in the towel and you want to roll the towel over it. You want to make sure that all of your lace, you want to make sure that the top is at one end and the bottom is at one end. You don't want to do this sideways or anything like that because you can ruin the lace or you can mat the hair. So then I'm just gently going to wring it out a little bit with the towel. With my synthetics, or if it's not a lace front, I will wring that mother effer out really hard. But with a lace front, I don't want to risk ruining the lace front or ripping it or stretching it or anything. There we go. Oh, I can actually scooch up a little bit. Here. Okay. So next you want to take your head. You don't have to do this on a block. You can do it on a styrofoam or anything like that. You just kind of want to make sure that you have something for you to pin your wig down to. I'm going to take a couple of my big pearl head pins and I'm going to do my Mickey Mouse like I showed you guys. So Mickey Mouse because it looks like ears. And then I usually will put one in the front, not on the lace. You want to put it in the foundation. And then I'll put usually one on the back and then usually like on the sides. And this is just so that when I'm brushing it and pulling it, it's not going to twist and roll off the block. Most wigs will say on them, don't brush when wet, styled as desired when dry. I say F that. I brush them wet all the time. So what you want to do is you want to take a leave-in conditioner of some sort. I'm using the It's a 10 Miracle Leave-In product. I love this stuff, especially for human hair wigs. It really detangles and it really softens and it gives a nice shine to the hair. You want to start and you want to just spray it evenly across. Now I'm kind of concentrating in this top portion up here with my spraying, and that's just because that's the part that almost always tangles the most. That, and then usually I'll take the bottom up and I'll spray that as well. Cardinal one rule of wig maintenance, always brush from the bottom up. You never want to start up here and pull a brush through because you're going to ruin your hair. The natural curl pattern in it. It is human hair, but it has a perm of some sort to keep it nice and curly, which I like because it holds a set very well. So you just want to start on your ends, and you just gently want to brush them. And I like to kind of brush them with my fingers as well as I'm doing it, just to kind of help detangle it quickly. And since this hair is pretty good hair, it doesn't tangle up as much, so you'll be able to see. I am not, if you're noticing, I am not getting in there completely with my brush and pulling down. I'm kind of just skimming the surface with my brush to start. And that's just so you can kind of get that, just get that top layer of hair down first, and then you'll be able to detangle easily underneath it. So if you start on the ends and you start gently without putting the entire length of the bristle into the hair, you'll get a much better and easier comb out. So now I'm just going to comb underneath just to make sure that I have no tangles in the back. And now kind of comes the tricky part. You have to move your pins around as you brush. So I'm going to start in the back, so I'm going to move the center back one up to kind of the crown. And then I'm going to brush it through. Usually we'll do is if the lace front part here, I usually will kind of brush that forward because I don't want to have to move my pins anymore. So usually I'll brush the lace front area forward just to get there we go. So as you can see, this side is fully brushed out. I can run my finger through. Totally brushed through, nice and smooth right now. So then usually what I'll do is I'll take all my pins out. Take the wig off the block, and then usually what I'll do is I'll hold it in my hand, but you never, ever want to hold a wig by the front lace. You never want to grab it by that, especially when it's wet or if it's styled into like a big updo or something where there's padding and rats and stuff like that, heavy stuff. You never, ever want to grab your wig for the front lace. So if you see I'm grabbing it back here, that's where the foundation is. So you want to grab it by the front, and you just kind of want to make sure, and as you can see now what I'm doing is my hand is inside the wig like this, and I have a finger at the hairline holding it in place. And this is just so that I can get that hair nice and brushed off of the front hairline. So then when it dries, it doesn't dry fully on your face. Ta-da! So that, as you can see, is how you brush out a human hair wig. As you can see, the hair I used when I ventilated the front is straight hair, and the rest of it is naturally curly. use what you got, girl. So yeah, so this is how you brush out a wig. Now, if you were going to roller set the wig or if you were going to style it again, you would want to block the whole thing down and then brush it out. But since I'm just drying this to put away in storage, I just put it with a couple pins, synthetics. I usually will put them in one big towel and I will twist that. So I have my big towel right here, pretty purple towel. And I'm just going to drape that over my chair, which you can't really see. But I'm going to drape it over my chair so that I can just lay the wigs down next to each other. And then when I'm all done, I can twist the whole thing and twist all that water out. I'm doing the same thing as before, and I'm rolling my hair, my wigs into like a burrito in my towel long ways. And then I'm just going to wring it out really, really good. This, you can really get out your aggression. I hate that bitch, I want to kill her. Ah! So just twist really good. And a lot of times if they're still really wet, you'll drip through the towel, which that always sucks. Perf. I don't really use conditioner on my synthetic hair, so I always just spray them down with oil sheen after I wash them. Most of the time when I wash a synthetic wig and I'm going to let it dry, I usually just get out my clothes drying rack for, you know, when you wash stuff and you want to hang it up to dry. I usually just get that out and I kind of just lay them across the bars or I lay them across the top. But you can also buy these things, which are pretty cheap. They're maybe like $4 or $5. You can get them at beauty supplies. You can get them online. You can get them on eBay. All of that fun stuff. And basically what this is, it's a collapsible wig stand. And the wig just kind of sits on top. And then the air can flow through it. And as I said before, these wigs are all just going back into storage. So I'm not roller setting them or anything. But if you were to be giving the wig a makeover, you would want to block it down and then brush it through and then set it immediately. Especially with synthetic, I find the wetter that it is, the tighter you set it, the better it ends up. So another trick, this wig is curly. So I'm going to give you guys a little wig trick that I like to do on curly styles. You don't really want to brush them at all. Sometimes if it's more of like a wave than a curl, you can brush them very gently, starting on the ends, working up. And then when you wash it, the curl will pop back once it's dry. However, if it's something that's short and really curly, like an afro, or just like big ringlet curls or anything like that, my tip would be to try to get out with a wide tooth comb or your fingers, try to get out all of the tangles or mats or anything like that before you wash it. Then what you're going to want to do is once you wash it and you condition it, you can either do a conditioner bath like I showed you with the human hair and then don't rinse it out, or you can dilute conditioner in a water spray bottle and spray it on when you're done, and then again use your fingers or a wide tooth comb to comb the product through. And then when it's dry, the conditioner will dry almost like a light mousse or a gel, and the curls will pop back into definition and it'll give them a nice shape again. Now, if the synthetic wig does rat up or anything like that, it is usually easier to brush it through when it's dry. That's why they say to never brush them when they're wet. I just say never brush them when they're wet if they're tangled. If they're not tangled and you can easily brush through them, by all means brush through them wet. The reason why they tell you not to do that is because synthetic hair does have a stretch to it, and if you pull it and stretch it too much, that's what causes the ends to frizz, and that's what causes the hair to break. And one little final tip, I almost always reuse my towels. Like, this towel is pretty much soaking wet right now, but if you think about it, all you did was you washed hair and you dried it with it. For me, I do wigs as a business. That's what I do. So I like to reuse my towels once or twice after I use them the first time, especially if I'm just washing wigs down. Like, this is still clean. It just has, you know, shampoo, maybe some conditioner in it. It smells good, so it's still clean. So I will let my towels air dry and I'll reuse them at least once or twice if I'm just washing things. Thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial today. I enjoyed making it. I've gotten asked many, many times how to wash a wig properly and all of that, so I hope you guys learned a thing or two. So be sure to subscribe to my channel. Be sure to follow me on every single social network imaginable, and even the ones that haven't been invented yet. And be sure to email me questions, comments, concerns, anything like that. And maybe I'll put it up in a future video. Thanks for watching. Have a great one. Bye.